Maybe you haven't completely given up on God, but if you're honest, you are tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of praying about the same thing, tired of staying positive when nothing seems to be changing. And lately, you've noticed something. Your faith doesn't feel as strong as it used to be. You still believe, but it feels heavier now, more difficult, more complicated. You find yourself asking questions that you never used to ask, wondering things you never used to wonder. And part of you feels guilty for it. But before you judge yourself for feeling that way, hear this. Some of the strongest people in faith have gone through moments where they feel exhausted, tired, confused, and discouraged. You are not the first person to struggle, and you won't be the last. A lot of people think losing faith happens overnight. It usually doesn't. Most times, it happens slowly. One disappointment, one unanswered prayer, one setback, one heartbreak, one delay after another, until eventually you carry more questions than answer. Not because you stop believing in God, but you are struggling to understand what He's doing. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with faith is because life didn't happen the way they expected. You thought things would be improved by now. You thought that door would be open. You thought you would be in a different place, emotionally, financially, spiritually, or mentally. But here you are, still waiting, still hoping, still wondering, and disappointment has a way of making faith feels difficult because faith is easy when everything is working. The real test comes when it isn't. When people start losing faith, there's usually one thought underneath all others. Maybe nothing is happening. Maybe God isn't listening. Maybe God forgot me. Maybe my prayer doesn't matter. Maybe things will never change. And once that thought sets in your mind, everything starts looking darker. Because hopelessness changes how you see everything. It makes delay feels permanent. It makes silence feels abandonment. It makes struggles feels endless, but feelings are not facts. And discouragement is a terrible interpreter of reality. Before you decide God has abandoned you, look back. Not at what hasn't happened, but look at what has. Think about things you've survived. The situation you thought would break you. The moments you didn't think you did recover from. The days you thought you wouldn't make it through. Yet somehow you're still here, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not quickly, but you are here. And that's worth paying attention to. Because sometimes we are so focused on what God hasn't done yet that we completely overlook what He has already done. One mistake people make is that believing that faith means not having doubt, never having struggling, never having questioning. But that is not reality. Faith isn't pretending everything makes sense. Faith is continuing to trust when everything doesn't make sense. It says, I don't understand this, I don't like this, I wouldn't have chosen this, but I'm not going to quit. That's faith, not perfect certainty. Persistent trust. Can I tell you what might actually be exhausting you? Not just the situation, but the constant attempt to carry things that were never yours to carry. You've been trying to control outcome, trying to predict the future, trying to solve problems that haven't even happened yet, trying to figure out everything and it's wearing you down. Because human beings were never designed to carry the weight of entire future. You are trying to hold tomorrow while still dealing with today. No wonder you are tired. Waiting can make you feel forgotten. But being unseen is not the same as being forgotten. There are things happening beneath the surface that you can't see yet, growth you can't measure, strength you don't notice, perspective being developed, character being formed. And often, those things become visible only after enough time has passed. The problem is that while you're living through the process, it's just slow. Right now, you're looking at the chapter, but you're treating it like a whole story. And that's dangerous because difficult chapter convince people that the story is over. But many of the things that make sense today only make sense after time passed. What if this moment is no conclusion? What if it's in the middle? What if you're judging the entire story before you've reached the ending? Maybe you're closer to quitting than you realize, not publicly, not internally. You've been carrying disappointment for a long time, and you're wondering how much longer you can keep going. If that's you, hear this. You don't need enough faith for the rest of your life right now. You only need enough faith for today, just today. Tomorrow can wait, next month can wait, the future can wait. Just focus on today, one step, one prayer, one decision not to quit at all. But remember this, your faith was never supposed to be built on perfect circumstances. Because if it was, it will collapse every time life gets difficult. Faith is built in moments exactly like this. Moments when you don't have all the answers. Moments when everything feels uncertain. That's where faith becomes real. Not when everything is easy, but when it isn't. But when it isn't. So if you're losing faith, don't make permanent conclusion based on temporary feelings. So if you're losing faith, don't make permanent conclusion based on temporary feelings. Don't assume silence means abandonment. Don't assume delay means denial. Don't assume difficult chapter is end of your story. You've come too far to quit now. You've survived too much to stop now. And the same God who carried you through yesterday has not changed today. You may not understand everything, you may not see everything, you may not feel strong right now, but your story isn't over. Keep going, keep trusting, keep believing, even if only one small step at a time. Because sometimes faith isn't a giant leap forward. Sometimes it's simply refusing to quit. when everything inside you wants to.